All right. I'm excited to be with Rob Talbot today of Chief Outsiders. Rob is an old friend of ATAK Interactive. We've been working on different projects together for about 4 years. And before I go any further, Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about Chief Outsiders and what you guys do over there?
Sure. Chief Outsiders is a strategy and marketing consulting firm geared to small businesses by and large that are stuck, either want to increase lead generation or they're in some sort of pain that they need to fix to grow, to continue grow, to launch new products or new markets. And they'll bring us in on an interim basis to help us figure out how to get them there.
And so the organization has a lot of fractional CMOs, and now there's some fractional chief sales officers and fractional chief revenue officers too, right?
Right. So when we come in to a project, and quite frankly, a lot of the CEOs that we work with honestly don't know if it's a sales issue or a marketing issue, or even broader. A lot of times we'll uncover operational issues. Once somebody from the outside comes in and starts asking questions, it becomes clearer. And then we can determine what their issues are and whether it's best served by a sales lens, a marketing lens, or quite frankly, in a lot of cases, we bring in both.
Yeah. And it's really cool because you got a lot of people who have served in some really cool roles. And I even believe I uncovered recently you worked at Napster. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, my lawyer doesn't like to discuss that, but I sure did. Let's just
Okay. We
I had a long and vibrant career in entertainment, including HBO and Sony and Lifetime Television, and did do some work for Napster as well in the early days of streaming music. But that's one of the interesting things about Chief Outsiders. With 120 of us, when we come across a client, a lot of times we'll say, who has experience with government contracts in cement, or who has experience? I've worked with high-end yacht companies and real estate companies and management consulting firms. Everybody brings not only interesting industry expertise, but then we cross slice it with who needs branding work or sales implementation or go to market strategy. We each have our own set of expertise that we can layer on. And that's what helps us find the right CMO for the right project. And it's an interesting time in our industry because right now we're layering AI to help us figure that out, looking at what we've done, the clients we've worked with, our availability, where we're located geographically, and can actually then figure out who is the best CMO to tackle one client specific issues.
And one of the things I've always loved about working with chief outsiders, but you specifically, is I feel like you typically come in and a CEO is like, something's not working. I'm not exactly sure I don't know what I don't know, but I know it should be better than this. And so I need an expert like yourself to come in, you know, audit everything that's going on and diagnose a better path forward. And what I've always enjoyed is we've been brought on to projects with you after you've been able to have those conversations. So you're able to talk to the CEOs and the stakeholders, and you're able to say, here's unfortunately the things that aren't going right. But the good news is I've got this whole path to being able to get you on the right track. And I also am able to bring in resources to help make that happen. How long is that process? Because we only come in once you've already gone through and done all of the diagnosis. How long does that take when you're working with those customers?
typically 3 to 4 months, and it really will depend. Sometimes we have to meet the customers where they are, and part of that is budget, right? So if they want to test the waters, see if they like us, see if we help, we can come in and start to do some insight work. And that could be a competitive analysis, looking at their digital footprint, really diving deep into their customer base. And a lot of times there are answers there, but you mentioned this a little earlier, are the CEOs, a lot of them are looking inward. They're focusing 100% of the time on solving problems and keeping the business going, and they're not looking out. So they'll come in and we'll do insight work and we'll do typical marketing things. So I mentioned competitive, we'll do voice of customer research, we'll do third party insights, kind of gauging the size of the market, what's going on. And that insight work then informs the strategy, and the strategies where we said we have a messaging problem, we have a lead generation problem, we have a seamless UX problem where we know people are falling off because they're not getting it, we have a brand perception problem. So the way I look at it is when they start to talk to us, they're on Pain Island. We come in our little boat, and our job is to get them to Pleasure Island. And at some point in that boat, we're asking ATAK to jump in, right? We've identified the issues, but we need the experts. So when I think about what we did recently, we had a client that had a nascent e-commerce experience, really not one that they worked on. We put them on Shopify. We got it built. We So they had a store that they could send people to. Then we integrated, they had a lower level of HubSpot, and we fixed HubSpot. So we not only knew we were tracking what people were buying, who they were, and through the HubSpot integration that you built, we could answer all the marketing as well as the sales questions. So when a sales came in, the salesperson got notified, they followed up, they created that relationship, because for this particular client, they knew that if they can get somebody to buy something, they knew that they would then grow that business. So we were lucky enough to say we need to look bigger, feel bigger. We need a seamless web experience, and we need to attract a broader audience, because while we're selling, this one narrow vertical, theoretically in 5 years, 10 years, we're going to be expanding that. And we want to build an experience that can grow with us. So I needed a partner like ATAK who could build a website that looked modern today, but would still function in 5 years.
Yeah, and what I loved about that project is I felt like that client in particular was they're passionate about what they did, but they were also very vocal about what they didn't know and were very, very communicative, and it kind of spoke a lot to where I feel like both of our values really said, which is like we knew that we were going to have to really give the white glove treatment to this customer, and we were going to have to explain certain things because they hadn't entered this world yet. We were going to have to work with their sales team to show them the systems and how they worked, and we were going to roll with some punches, but that's the time investment we wanted to make on a human level, so that not only were we creating this great system, but they were able to use it and get the most out of it. And I think that's where the power of that partnership works really well. Is like I just feel like we both have this just real care for the customer and making sure that we're doing right by them more so than anything else in the project. Um,
But I think those shared values are kind of table stakes for me in terms of who I like to work with. But as a fractional CMO, I could have between 3 and I'll say 5 clients. That's sort of my sweet spot. So I'm constantly picking up my different client book. And what I liked not only about the white glove treatment, but you guys were really good at scoping the project and communicating the where we were and milestones to get to that timeline, because timeline adherence for most of these small folks, it really is, we need to show growth year over year. So I can't iterate 3 times on a website. I need to get things done because I have to launch by X for me to really feel comfortable to hit, Y and Z. So not only do I look for agencies that, share my value in client first, but it's how we deliver it. It's the other piece is, and I will say this, I'll do a scope of work with my client, and so far 100% of the time the scope of work has changed from beginning to end. So I need somebody who's going to be flexible with me so that when the client says, well, this is important to me today, tomorrow we're pivoting. And while it's my job to lead the client to the end zone, having a partner that's flexible, that understands, if a trade show's coming up and we need to make sure that this piece is ready before that piece, or if there are investor meetings or other things that pop up, we can adjust. And that's much more comforting to me than a lot of the other things, because keeping your client happy and understanding that business doesn't happen in a vacuum. I need partners that can block and tackle with me.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think it just speaks to how both organizations really look at customers. We obviously we have systems, we have processes, we've got best practices, but we also know that every single one of their problems is unique in some way, shape, or form to them. And so the solution is going to be pretty unique as well. And it's kind of a living, breathing beast that, one day you think you have to solve the problem by going this route, and then maybe you do some A/B testing and realize the better way to solve the problem is this route. And it's you do have to be on your toes, because there's some people I've worked with on the fractional side who everything is very rigid, and it's just a bunch of checklists. But some I don't think you can put most customers in a box like that.
No, they're pivoting, and I'll say the beauty of working as a fractional CMO is that every CEO is different, and managing that personality, thinking about what they want. A lot of times they are, weekend CMOs. They love this part of the business, and sometimes they're spot on, and sometimes they're not. And we have to balance that as well. But at the end of the day, it's it's their baby, and we just want to make sure we're giving them the best that we can. And I'll say, in this world today, AI changes every other day. So things
Mhm.
that were multi-point attribution to, create a video with these 3 words and these 2 characters, go. It's nice to have a partner that is equally as invested in learning and growing and keeping on top of a lot of these things, so that we're not behind. And that's another thing why I really enjoy working with you guys, because if I bring something to the table, you're usually like, yeah, heard about that. It just makes my job easier, which quite frankly, that's what an agency does, right? They're the intel inside that makes what we're doing seem effortless, hopefully.
Yeah. We were honored to be able to present at your national sales conference a few weeks ago in Dallas. And one of the things we were talking about is how, with marketing and sales operations, with the confluence of technology and a lot of that changing, somehow the role of the being the glue that makes it all come together kind of fell on the marketing agency. And so where we used to just do much more traditional marketing services in the B2B space, so much of what we've evolved into is making sure that we're able to serve sales teams and marketing teams, get them aligned, and utilize all the latest technology to make it all sing. And I'm glad you called out AI, because that's definitely the first question we probably all get now when we're working with customers. How are you using it? How can we use it? How can we get the most out of it? What have you seen that's been kind of, obviously, again, we know that everybody's unique, but where have you seen uh, companies utilize AI a little bit more to get more out of their sales and marketing operation?
One of my clients in the real estate space has done an amazing job because I mentioned attribution. They spend a lot of money on marketing, it's their biggest budget. And we pull a lot of different levers, whether it's TV, radio, outdoor, organic search, paid search. There's a lot we can do. And the question is, what on direct mail? And I throw that in because we would immediately start looking at, well, direct mail has a terrible cost per lead, but then AI's helped us look at, in a very efficient way, everybody's across touch points, because now we can capture that information and understand that what we thought was a bad lead actually leads to our most profitable clients. So at the top of the funnel, it might look terrible, but at the bottom, it looks great. And vice versa, we've been able to figure out by looking at specific keywords that convert, the ones we have been spending money on writing content are great, but they're not really attracting the lead. They're attracting kind of the looky-loos on the outside. And to be able to use AI to help us figure out who is our customer. And I don't work with this on the agency side. You guys are probably much closer to it. And I don't understand this, so maybe you can explain it to me. We can take bad leads, feed that back to Google. They will then use their secret sauce to improve our paid search to send us less of those and more of these people. And that has made us just much more efficient. Um, what it's hurt is our ability to just add more into marketing, because it's also told us you're tapped out here, go find another channel to play in. So it's made some things easier and some things just far more difficult.
That's really cool. It's such an exciting time, looking at the tools, and so much of the data analysis that you can do with AI is wonderful. So it sounds like you're seeing it with your customers too. So before we go, is there anything else that I should have asked you about our relationship and working together? Did I miss
Well,
anything?
I mean, in terms of, we've talked about, our cultural alignment, which makes working really well. It talks about your knowledge and expertise, and that's one thing that I want to talk about. And I know you're I'm gonna say frustrated copywriter. Maybe that might be fair, might not be fair, but you've been able to really help messaging with some of my
Former
clients.
English major. That's what
Okay.
I identify
So,
as. Former
but
English major.
within the world, when people tell me, every agency says, well, we do it all, and I was like, you can't. But I know that you guys, whether it's creative, web development, media buying, or creative. I meant to say HubSpot. So it's very technical on one side, to very creative, strategic on the other, and that's great, because if I don't have to quarterback three agencies, that makes my life so much easier. So that's sort of the other reason why I really like to work with you guys, because I can keep throwing stuff at you and all I get back is, yeah, sure, we can do that. So that's awesome.
Well, to extend the analogy, we love blocking and tackling and scoring as many touchdowns as we can with you. It's
Yeah.
been a wonderful relationship, and we're really grateful for you and everybody in the Chief Outsiders organization.
We're doing a lot of work and look forward to figuring things, getting people from Pain Island to Pleasure Island. Having you in my boat is always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you, Austin. We'll talk soon.
That's it for today. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and make sure you hit subscribe so you can see our latest videos as soon as they drop. We really appreciate you watching. See you next time.